Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at LuckyDiceCafe.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, Alex Coons, and Tyler Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking. Just want to let everybody know that Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, the world's largest HeroClix retailer. Find HeroClix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CLIXEDOFF for 5% off your HeroClix order. Merchant and pre-order items do not apply. If you like what you're listening to today here on Clixed Off, check us out patreon.com/ClixedOff. $1 and above gets entered into our monthly giveaways. $5 and above gets entered into our Discord server for HeroClix strategy and tactics discussion. Joining me tonight is Jason. Has to sleep with a fan, so he gives Daniel a sore throat. Alvy.
The fan wasn't even blowing on you.
I was sleeping. My head was by the intake of that thing for 4 nights. I'm over it now. It's like today's Wednesday, and like I had a sore throat for 2 days because you dry air sucking all the air out of me. Couldn't, sucking all the air.
That didn't do that.
I don't know.
That's just from being in a hotel.
Yeah, fan.
Why didn't I have a sore throat?
Because the air was blowing on you. It wasn't sucking the air out. It wasn't sucking the air out of you. It was blowing air into you.
My open mouth and just drying it out. So
you might be. It's because you're used to it. Your body's built up that immunity.
I must have the noise, or I will not sleep. So
I know it's all good. So secondly, joining me is Alex. Check your tires before your next road trip, Coos.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Well, no. More importantly, check your spare tire before you leave to make sure you have all the tools you need to change it. Oh, and for the record, Dan, I too also had a sore throat afterwards, so if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's fully Jason's fan. I feel like also the humidity was really low because it was pretty cool outside.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it was like a combination of like a little bit of fall hitting. Because whenever fall hits, my sinuses and stuff.
We can at least blame the fan 51%, right?
I mean, I will agree though. The sound of the fan was pretty nice. It's like having that little sound of the fan was great.
That's true.
It's soothing.
Yeah.
When I wasn't freezing because that air conditioner was all over the place.
Right.
It wasn't your fan that was cooling me down. It's just every so often I just get really cold.
So
I like sleeping in a meat locker, basically. So,
yeah, I don't. I like sleeping where it's just the right temperature. You can call me Goldilocks, I guess. And like the right temperature, completely dark, completely silent. So
no. Wow.
So I feel like we would be we've gotten 2 requests to start off our World Experiences show here today with addressing the situation at Worlds between Adam and Scott. We're not going to go into a bunch of detail here. If you know, you know. We don't condone what Adam and Scott did. Whatever situation caused them to report the score as 300 versus 150, they shouldn't have done. I understand that, the judges didn't have had a hard decision on their hands to arrive that it was an okay thing for them to do and that they'll address it in the future. Because, I think obviously to me, there was some extra discussion to come up with a 150 number. I don't know what all that means. I don't want to do any speculation. We've kept that out of our group. I think those guys should have just went 300 to 0. And there wouldn't have been a single other word about it at all. It had just been done. Would have never even known about it. So, guys, don't do that, please. Let's not.
Yeah, it's just a lack of foresight on their part.
Yeah. So
because it's also just we don't know what ramifications are going to come from this from a rules standpoint. Like what is going to be implemented to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. We don't know what they might decide. Like,
I thought they said that they already decided something.
Well, I mean, like written in the tournament rules. I assume they're going to do that.
That's right. Yeah, there could be some. You're right, Alex. There could be something like worse come out of it, right? Like, I don't know what that could be, but I understand what you're saying, right? Like some rule that
like you have to play your game. You can't end it early. Right. You have to finish it. Like that's not going to happen. But hey, you never know.
Right. I agree. So that is the end of it. And then additionally, my goodness, like so today's Wednesday, the 2 days since Worlds have been wild. I would additionally like to say that, Clixed Off is a safe space and don't disparage other people. Like, you're not going to change people's opinion over things. That's not like you might be able to change. Sorry. I mean, you're not going to be able to change their opinion over stuff that's not mini game related or HeroClix related in a HeroClix related group. Keep that crap out of the HeroClix groups. Keep it focused on the HeroClix. Gosh, do not disparage other groups.
Let's just all, get along with each other. How about that?
Yeah, tell me about it.
It's kind of take me and Dan especially, and Jason probably you too. We're used to working in like a corporate type environment where it's like you just leave personal feelings, politics, religious feelings out of it, and like that's for you in private on your own time. You don't need to put that in front of anybody and like force your opinions on people or anything like that. And that's kind of how we treat the group. Also, like we're here to talk HeroClix. We're not here to talk politics. We're not here to talk. Now we could talk about the politics of food or something, right? Like we talk about B-dubs and stuff like that all the time. But so we go off topic of Clix. But typically, if it's something related to religion or government, something that's very divisive, that there's no reason to talk about it. There's groups out there if you really want to go talk about that. So we try to. It's not like we're trying to infringe on freedom of speech or anything like that. It's just we try to keep it to HeroClix and things relatively around HeroClix.
Right, HeroClix and the community of playing the game. So
sure.
I did not want to have to make those statements to start off with, but we are where we are. So, and then additionally, guys, I don't know, did y'all listen to the latest episode of Sudden Death?
No, didn't get to yet.
Oh, yeah. So, I'll announce it here on the main show. Our mascot has returned.
Oh.
Really?
He's back.
Well, close. It's his son. And he's back for a vengeance. He's back with a vengeance. So, for those not aware, Mr. Chomps was retired by Scott Porter in early 2022. But out of his ashes, and I still talk to Mr. Chomps. He's alive and well in the swamp.
Yeah, did you say out of his ashes?
Yeah, so out of the ashes of that brutal beating that Scott Porter gave him, has arisen the Gator Tot.
I mean, we know Mr. Chomps, like, with all that swagger he had, there's probably some Mrs. Chomps out there somewhere. I mean,
Oh yeah, there's definitely a Mrs. Chomps. So
yeah, I mean he's
now,
all those wins over the years gotta get you some lady chomps around here, right? So,
that's right. Yeah. So now we're still finding out a lot about Gator Tot over over some conversations here because Mr. Chomps kept his family life pretty private over the years. But what we do know is Gator Tot is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu trained. Yeah, so he's more of an MMA style fighter. Not afraid to use the old tail whip, and more to come as Gator Tot looks to come out and put down the arch nemesis of his father's, Scott Porter.
wow.
In a completely nonsensical way that a imaginary show mascot would do. So, all right.
Interesting.
Yeah, Gator Tot, baby. We need some Gator Tot art, too. We have to come up with that. All right, so we went to Worlds. We did things. And we had fun. End of show?
End of show. See you guys later.
Yeah.
So, let's see. So we have a lot of different questions. I want to start, in order and time. We'll start out Brad and Steve. We answered y'all's questions. I would say, first of all, for everybody that came up and talked to us and told us, gave us feedback on the show, told us they loved to listen to the show. I don't remember everybody's name that came up and introduced themselves. But thank you all. Just a hearty thank you for all of the support of our show. I know, Jason, you started a little bit before I did on the show, but May 2016, when I started doing the show, I never, ever thought that people would listen to what I had to say about this game. And I'm always completely humbled and amazed by our fans, and thank y'all all so very much.
Yeah, I didn't really know how to react when a couple people came up to me and said, "Oh man, it's awesome to meet you." That's just like, I'm not used to that, so that's awesome. Like, thanks for listening to the show and whatnot. I've met quite a few people also, so thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice when anybody says that, hey, they listen to the show and they enjoy it. I'm glad that happens. I'm glad people enjoy what we do. That's why we do it. I'm still surprised people, like you said, listen to us talk about weird shit and chicken wings and HeroClix, but
yeah,
it's always nice when they when they do. So I met a lot of cool people this weekend, and that's always like probably the most fun part of going.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Thank you.
So, so we all drove down Wednesday night. We got checked in.
not all of us. Thank you very much.
Well, some of us were a little bit later than others getting in, I suppose.
We were there on Wednesday night.
I know, but we were there late Wednesday night.
Doesn't matter. It was. Are we being technical on what night is defined as? It's like it was before midnight when I was laying down to go to sleep on Wednesday. So
some of us got there earlier, not knowing his roommates were going to be there a lot later.
Oh my gosh! Next year we'll be very clear on our arrival time.
I would have stopped at so many more Walmarts and Targets to find Lorcana on the way. If I knew I had an extra 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, I just had to go across the street from work that same day and stop at the first one.
Yeah, I knew you guys weren't going to get there when I'm like almost to Memphis and Jason's sending pictures of, I stopped at the place across work. I was like, well, all right.
Yep.
Or you guys sent a picture from a baseball stadium.
Yeah, we had to go to a T-ball game before we left.
Yeah. Before we left on Wednesday, I did not miss Theo's T-ball game, and we had T-ball tonight actually. So it's going surprisingly well. They all get their turn of catching and not of catching the ball and hitting the ball. So they've also gotten really good at lining up for the high fives at the end of the game.
Oh, that's very important.
Yes. So, but Wednesday morning we all got up and went to go get Thursday. Shit. We all went. We all got up and went to go get supplies, and we ate at Exactly. Was it Exactly?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Everybody, mark that place down. Not sure if it'll be there next year because those type of places just pop up and go down. But absolutely mark it down for next year, guys.
Oh man, it was so good.
Yeah,
it
may not be like as famous or as long standing as Marlowe's was, but yes, definitely add Exactly to your list of restaurants.
Yeah,
Chicken and waffles was amazing.
Yeah, and don't be surprised when you show up to it and it looks like it's in a house. Yes, it is a house turned restaurant. So
it is in a residential area.
Yes, but man, was it good.
Yes,
which is one of my goals for Worlds this year because I feel like last year the food options was just terrible. We tried to eat at the bar that one time and it was just. Jason's still waiting for his chicken sandwich today.
Well, so
a year later, I still haven't got that son of a bitch.
So last year, my thing is last year, a lot of the fast food restaurants up and down the road there were still not dine in, and there was still some like COVID left over. But this time we didn't have any problem getting food. Golly, I mean, we could probably just address all the food that we got. We ate at the Exactly place. We ate at Cookout for the first time. I ate there twice.
Yeah, I ate there twice also.
Just once for me.
We have Cookout locally. If you want to know what Cookout is, it's basically like a heart attack place because there's probably nothing on there good for you. But it is incredibly cheap, which is what we were looking for. So you could get like a $6.99 tray, which has a double cheeseburger and 2 sides, and your 2 sides could be like more double cheeseburgers and fries or corn dogs or whatever. It's like you're going to a Cookout. But dealing with the hotel like prices and spending money at Worlds on stuff, it's like, man, it was nice to go to Cookout despite being unhealthy. I mean, like, man, I got my food for like $8. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Yep, and we did manage to go to Marlowe's.
Yep. Yes, good as usual.
And then we did also eat at the Aldo's Pizza Pies on Saturday night.
Yeah, after singles, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it Saturday night you guys went?
Yeah, it was after singles, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is Marlowe's? You guys went to Marlowe's Friday night then?
Me and Daniel and Forrest went to Marlowe's on Friday.
Okay.
Even after teams.
Okay.
Yes.
No, Wild Teams was still going on, yeah.
Well, after we got knocked out in the...
spoiler, Jason!
Yeah.
No spoiler for anybody who was there. They didn't see our name on that.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But yeah, we had gone to Walmart also on Thursday. Thursday was super chill. And most of Worlds was pretty chill, in all honesty. Thursday was really because nothing started on Thursday until like 3:00, 2:00. So we had the nice breakfast. We went to Walmart to kind of stock up on mobile grub so we weren't just starving while we were playing, and then we got back and we still had time left over before we had to go to the place to play pulp.
Yeah,
so it was
nice.
It was super nice. So like if you haven't gone to Worlds or next year you're you went later, definitely go on Wednesday. Just pay to have Wednesday night. Because the Dial H did do a fun little trivia event that I went to. I didn't really participate because I got there a little late, but it was interesting. They did like a Jeopardy style questions, and it was entertaining. So definitely next year, go on Wednesday. So you just have that extra time to just relax. Memphis, that general area, it felt a little nicer. I don't know why.
It felt a little nicer. It felt like it had been brought up a little bit. Now, I did hear some folks complain about it like as a food desert. Now, if you don't drive and you're flying in, yes, it is a little tough because there's only like the Hardee's, Carl's Jr. across the street, and then
there's the KFC.
The KFC, the hotel, and the convention center. So if you're not driving, you may want to find a friend that is, and sync up with them, to have a vehicle to get around in, because we just went we just went up and down the road. Now the Aldo's Pizza Pie we did drive into downtown for. There was a longer story.
We bargained for there.
We got a little more than we bargained for there because of the festival that was going on in the arts district of Memphis. So,
unfortunately, most of the food on that main drag near Graceland is like half a mile away. You can get plenty of food within a mile and a mile and a half because there's, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Cookout, Krispy Kreme. There's a decent amount of places, but you have to go a quarter of a mile to half a mile, so you can't really walk to a lot of those places, which is a little unfortunate. But you should be able to find a lot of. There's plenty of people that drove in that would probably help you get stuff, at worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And the food, honestly, the food at the place is how it's always been, and it isn't terrible at the exhibition hall.
Yeah.
Getting a hot dog and whatnot for $8. It's pricey, but probably cheaper than the hotel. And it's not terrible. I think I got a hot dog just because I didn't feel like going out. And it was serviceable.
Yeah, I agree. The food at the convention center seemed better this year as well.
At least better organized because they were open. I feel like, was it last year that, or maybe it was the first year, that it was just there were times it wasn't open at key times.
Right.
And we're there is nothing. But here, it was open, I didn't see when it wasn't open during, lunchtime and beyond. Once it hit lunchtime, because they didn't serve breakfast there. So once it hit lunchtime, it was open until, late. 8, 9 o'clock, they were still sitting there open.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
and so we should...
I was going to say, it seems like the food situation has greatly improved, since 2019 there.
And so this year at Worlds, and I'm sure you saw pictures, this year, I don't think it's in honor of it being the third year, but they have now three of the halls at the exhibition place. They've basically grown every year. The first year there was everyone was playing in one, and then WizKids had the second one. That's where they put all their product and stuff, I think. And then when we came back after COVID, they had the two halls where HeroClix was in one, and then Organization and Dice Masters and PRs were in the other. But then this year they had three, which worked out great because they almost had too much space because the area where you could sign up for events felt incredibly empty. But basically, they had a hall where you could buy Con LEs, Troll and Toad was there, and that's where you register for events. Then they had the middle section, which is where BRs were and Onslaught tables were set up. And then the third room was solely just HeroClix tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And plenty of space. I never felt cramped.
Nope.
Now, I felt cramped a little bit at the BR tables because, it wasn't, it's just purely you have a bunch of dudes there sitting next to each other. That's going to happen sometimes at BR tables because there were a lot of people playing BRs. But overall, from a logistical standpoint, I think it worked great. I think it was plenty of space. There were a ton of people. It was really well run by that point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, much better organized at the initial opening than it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got to go in. They got to get their TCB package. They got to go to the pop-up shop and get their figures, so nobody got left out on those. And then you went to register. I mean, all in one orderly line. That was really nice.
Yep.
The only hiccups they had with Con LEs was they did run out of Space Ghost like by day 2 or day 3. And then they didn't have the Wonder Womans to start?
They never had the Wonder Womans at all for sale, according to Scott.
But you got those in the TCB package, so it wasn't like... So it would have been bad if you came there hoping to get one. And it was bad if you didn't buy Space Ghost originally, like when you first started in there. But if you've learned anything from last year, you need to just, when you get there, day 1, just get the Con LEs that you want immediately. Like as soon as you get in there, just go ahead and buy them, get it out of the way. That's kind of it. There wasn't that many new ones this go around, right?
Cap was pretty much it.
Yeah. Not a ton of new purchasable ones because of the way they're doing it now, where it's spread out during multiple cons, and Worlds is kind of the culmination of all the conventions into one. So if you went to Gen Con or you went to any of the other conventions, you probably already got it. So
I guess they really underestimated how many BRs they were going to run. Because they went short on prizes, and they ran completely out of Notorious by middle of the day Sunday.
But that, I would say,
I think they would say like the prizing they definitely ran short on, but I would say running out of Notorious when they did means that
that was fine, really.
That means that they got it spot on.
Pretty dang close.
Pretty close, because we don't know if they would have had more, and maybe they underestimated how many people would sign up for teams.
It feels like because it was the teams of the largest HeroClix event that had ever come out, largest HeroClix event ever. So I think they didn't expect as many teams as they had, and that's
didn't think they'd have to use 69 bricks in teams. So if you count,
207 people. I mean, obviously,
if you
obviously somebody needed to go ahead and just say it was 69 teams and just say giggity, get it over with.
Yeah, it happened a lot while we were there too.
Yeah, but the Supermans and Jokers dried up like midday, like was it? Saturday, right? Like
yeah. But there was just so many people playing BRs, like just a ton of people. There were just a ton of people there in general, and it felt great. It felt like a full convention almost.
But it never felt crowded in any way.
Nope.
We had plenty of room.
Yeah.
And it was all pretty, laid back.
You could argue for BRs. I've heard some people complain that it isn't, come and go as you please. Like, oh, we've got enough people to sign up and go play. They were very strict on the times of, one's firing at 4, now the next one's at 5, blah, 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 blah. And I think that worked from an organization standpoint. They were able to kind of move them swiftly. But there were times where you would sit there and like, you finished your tournament. You walk in, it's like, I've got to wait an hour until the next VR's ready to go. Like what am I going to do for that hour? So I think that's probably the way they have to go. And that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
And Jeremiah and Rob did an excellent job of organizing BRs. Top notch.
Yep. Was there any piece that surprised you in BRs?
In a good way or bad way?
In a good way.
I have a bad way.
Like, Bizarro sucks. Like,
no.
He dropped like a sack of potatoes anytime I played it. Like,
well, then that takes back what I was about to say of, it depends on who's playing the Bizarro. I think some people like Bizarro's good in BRs. The problem is people don't think you could just run out there and just go smack something. But there's so much outwit to the Superman enemy. It's like that's a bad idea. You have to be very conservative with him, but know that you've got a meat stick that can run out there hypersonic, hit somebody and run back, or use them only for the long range to say, oh, I've got 10 for 3, Pensai, and then protect them a little bit. Because I remember going like, oh, there's a Bizarro. I need to try to whittle that guy down, because he could hit pretty hard if you let him.
Yeah, he just got outwitted and get busted usually. But once he got into the fight, I don't know. I didn't pull much of anything good, like in any of the BRs. Only a couple different times, but the King Shark was really good in the BRs. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, there's a couple of downsides to the BRs, I would say, in this format. They didn't. I mean, it isn't something they really had to think about, but they probably should have thought about. Was they did play maps that had no water, and for a set that has like some traits that really utilize water, I think in my first BR I had Black Manta, and I'm like, well, you pull a Black Manta, you're like, well, I'm going to play him, and he's okay out of water, but almost everything he does is in water. So, so it's like, okay, well, I guess I don't get to do any of this. And same with some of the other like dolphin-based pieces. It's like, well, this piece is meant to be played in the water, so it would be better if he had that. But my biggest thing with the BRs was, I won't dwell on it too much, but I got a little hosed by Scarecrow, because the way he was worded, and then they fixed it in the middle, so I got like completely hosed because basically the way they ruled it, because of how it's worded, and there's supposedly a fix if it isn't already out there, but everyone knows Scarecrow should be able to lay out the free smoke cloud, and then he should be able to mind control somebody through the smoke cloud without having to like be adjacent. Because his wording says, when Scarecrow makes a close attack, opposing characters occupying his smoke markers are considered adjacent to him. Now it's a small close attack, like how they worded it, and so because it's that way, it doesn't work when you use mind control, because you have to take a big close action, and as soon as you take it, you have to have targets. And so, like, because of that, you don't get to make a little close attack, because that only happens when you're making the little close attack. It was stupid. And so they made like a ruling on the day I was playing, and I had 2 Scarecrows on my team, because that's just how I got passed. And so they said, no, you can't do that. Basically making him pointless, because he's not nearly as good. And then on Sunday I played again, someone pulled Scarecrow, and they're like, oh no, they ruled it, they changed it back. And I was like, what? Why? Well, I mean, okay. I mean, they should have just made that decision. They should have just made the intent decision to begin with, because there's no way that Scarecrow was supposed to be built to where he couldn't do that.
Right.
So they should have just done that to begin with. But that's just a minor thing. It's not that big of a deal.
All right.
One other thing I'll mention about BRs before we get into our tournaments, because I'm kind of on the let me get all the negativity out first, and then we can hype up more about how it was run. For the Onslaught standpoint, I've mentioned this multiple times. They screwed up marketing it significantly. I think when we went through the schedule, I mentioned it. Basically, they only had listed Onslaught Battle Royales for Saturday. And when I first saw that, I thought that was weird. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe only their Onslaught people are going to be there, Saturday. They didn't have enough people. Come to find out, it's just whoever did the printout and did the website was just absolutely wrong. Like, from the get-go on Thursday, they were set up to do like demos, BRs, all this stuff. And it caught on. I saw a decent amount of HeroClix players trying out Onslaught on like Saturday, Sunday. Like, the table started getting a little full. Like, people were taking the time to play and figuring out it was a really good deal to do the BRs. because it was only $10, and the winner takes home a $50 faction pack. So it was a really good deal. So it's a little unfortunate. I think that may have just kind of pushed some people. Maybe some people probably didn't play when they wanted to because they didn't know it was available.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just kind of a lack of communication to make sure everything lined up like it should have. But besides that, everything else went great. So
yeah, I think everything really went well this time, and made a big difference. So we got through Wednesday, we supplied up, got everything rocking and rolling, and we played in Pulp. So, well, Jason didn't.
Yeah, I did BRs.
Yeah,
he was our scout.
Yeah, he was.
That's what we told him. We can, when we were talking about it, Jason, you were kind of like debating whether you wanted to play Pulp or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we found out Notorious is definitely the BR set.
Yeah, that's told me.
Yeah, I think it was like, well, hey, I think you were thinking about doing it anyway. And then when we mentioned, well, hey, it'll be a benefit for Team Worlds if you see how the figures actually play, that was like the selling point of like, yeah, absolutely. And to be, oh man, now this is going to make me negative again. To be honest, you didn't miss much of Pulp.
Whoa!
The same that happened at Gen Con, pretty much.
No, it was way better than Gen Con.
I don't know, guys.
That's because you had a good. That's because you came in second.
Well, you know what? So, all right. So who asked me here? Sorry, I didn't have my glasses on. Lamar asked me, Daniel, did you enjoy your Pulp more at Worlds than you did at Nationals? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So I
wonder why.
So I was so going into Pulp, they're even at the event, and this was specifically the Thursday before we went to Worlds. I went in and was talking to Jason. We were talking about the event, and I was like, man, I don't know about this Pulp thing. I'm like, I didn't have a good time at Gen Con. Might just
he groans about it every time we play it.
Oh my gosh, but
you're such a supporter of Pulp, Dan.
Oh my gosh, these guys, I mean, for the past 6 weeks, even before Gen Con, gosh, they just been, that's all they'll play. It's all they'll play locally. It's just Pulp.
And look how it paid off for you.
So I'll say this in a humorous sort of way. Jason said, I bet you won't say that if you do really well at Gen Con. And I was like, well, no shit, Jason. I will be happy if I do well at Pulp Net Worlds. But I have no indication that that's going to happen. Well, as y'all might know, I ended up getting second place at Pulp Worlds, and thanks to Alex for telling me what team to play.
It was a good team. I'm gonna miss it because push come to shove, I think that was arguably the best team at Pulp. I mean, I guess you could argue it's the second best team at Pulp, but it was such a good team. It's unfortunate the tournament set up. I dropped out of the tournament as a 3-1. If that's any indication of how bad the tournament format was, because it was just 6 rounds of Swiss, and then that was it.
You dropped?
I dropped at 3-1. Yeah.
You could have still done really well.
And not made it to the final round. Because remember, we already knew going into this, the prizing for Pulp was very top heavy. It was not
number one top heavy. I walked away with
yes.
2 cons I'd already bought that day.
But that's okay. You still got
every other tournament they had. That's top heavy.
Yeah, but that at least is you have a monetary amount tied to that at least, right? I got $50 worth of things because that's how much I spent on con Ellie's. The thing is that 3-1, because they did it as, you 6 rounds of Swiss. Basically, any loss means you're out for the most part with how many players we had.
It was you were out for the championship, yes, but you weren't out of getting the top 8 prizing, which was not nothing.
So, as 3-1 with decent amount of points, I knew I had 2 more rounds to go. I had to win both games to get prizing. And so I sat there and like weighed my decision. I was like, I'd rather go play BRs for 2 hours because my prizing is probably going to be better in that. Like getting any of the notorious figures, or if I won, I didn't win. But if I had gotten any of the Connellys, that's arguably definitely better than the top 8 prizing. So it's like, I just went and did that. It felt bad, but it's like they should have had a single elimination section. They just should have.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that they went ahead and moved the Pulp tournament to Thursday, so we didn't have to decide necessarily between the two. That we were able to play in that. I think ideally, if I had to do it myself, I would have made Theme Worlds and Pulp Worlds on Thursday and started it earlier so that you could decide going in on Thursday whether or not you wanted to play in the everyman pulp format or the more whatever you want to call it, more aggressive Silver Age format. That's how I would have done it. That's my opinion. Overall, I think it went decent enough.
Yeah, it was just a little disappointing.
Right.
Like I wish I could have just kept going. Like I would have much rather kept playing, and if I made top 4 or something, okay. But by that point, it just didn't feel like a good investment for me to just
right. So I had lost a game myself, and I was like, well, I might as well keep going. I'm already this far in, so that's what I did. I had lost a game to Mr. Andrew Young, who did the most baller thing in Pulp. He was playing with the War of the Realms Lady Thor, and he used a Mjolnir marker from the Mighty Thor chase.
Okay.
So that was a anywhere from $100 to $200 figure, depending on when you purchased it and used it. So the marker for his team was worth more than 50 times his team. By the way, I thought we will talk about what team I did play. For those that don't remember, I played the team Alex told me to play, which was Invisible Woman, Blue Marvel, Party Thor, Falcon, Ant-Man, and Doctor Strange, with Valeria Richard and Franklin Richards on the sideline. It was basically an Avengers themed team that swapped in 2 Fantastic Four characters. And yeah, so it, I would say this. I did get rather bored playing the team. It worked like this. My turn 1, I usually got to go first. And turn 2, I would put Franklin into position for prob. I would say the word perplex a lot. Then I would say the words aerial extraction with Falcon on Blue Marvel, and I would running shot pulse wave hit the opposing team for 2, and then I would outwit something. Then the next turn, they would, try to KO Blue Marvel. If they were successful in doing so, I would then send in Party Thor and give them a second action token for them KOing a Blue Marvel and a third damage. And then I would go ahead and give them a fourth damage the next turn, because for the most part they had four damage and 2 action tokens at that point. Third damage, 2 action tokens, give them the fourth one. Not a lot of leadership, not a lot of willpower. And then, Franklin and Doctor Strange and Valeria just did the cleaning crew. So it was pretty much rinse and repeat for the 5 rounds. Andrew's matchup was the one that I lost. After the game, Andrew said, "You should have just went second. It took me to a small map instead of going to the big map." And I was like, you know what? You were right. But that marker, that Mjolnir marker from that Lady Thor, is pretty dang decent. So I probably could have done a couple other things to mitigate that. But congratulations to Lucas Tom Van Hollen for winning.
Yeah,
I had a really good time playing the team. So to answer your question, Lamar, yes, I did have a much better time at Worlds than at Gen Con playing Pulp.
Yeah, but now, and we'll talk about this on later episodes, but now we enter kind of a new, refreshed world of Pulp.
Yep.
That is basically it's basically going to be a botany class for the next while.
Yeah.
Poison Ivy's new queen of Pulp.
Yeah, and I would say, we did get quite a few questions here about Notorious. The Notorious set review is this 2 episodes away. So we're going to talk this episode about Worlds. We're going to talk Sunday with Pat Frazier, who won Modern Worlds. Oh, spoiler alert. And so we're probably going to talk.
Ruined it for me.
Yeah, we're probably going to talk a little bit about upcoming meta, talk about his experiences, and then I have some work stuff to do. So probably end of next week. So you're probably about 10 days away from our Notorious set review. We know we're running a little bit late, but we got a lot of stuff coming out of Worlds to talk about. And then my work is just in the way for a few days. So, gotta...
Funny is it doesn't feel like it's a week until Notorious. Like, it feels like because of Worlds, Notorious already came out. But Notorious comes out next week.
Yeah, so... Unfortunately, right, like, I know we're trying to... There's a lot of... I want this episode to know... This is overwhelmingly positive experience at Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
And overwhelmingly positive outlook on the future here. But the reason why I think Notorious release doesn't feel very good, at least for myself, there's no events now until Florida.
Well, we can't say that. There's no events for us.
Well... I mean,
there are events leading up to Florida.
Yeah, but
we just don't know all of them yet. Well, so I mean,
they sold. I guess they sold the Champion Clix guys did sell their qualifier kit or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's probably not large major events leading up to it. What we're saying,
right?
Well, we don't.
They said that they sold their events in Washington State, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Jersey. And then one in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. So there's going to be bigger events, is what I'm trying to say. But you're right. It's kind of like, okay, well, what all is there really? There's a little bit left to be. I don't feel like there's a ton for us in our region.
No.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't mean that there's none anywhere. But
well, that's true. But these things, those even with that number of events, it's still more isolated, right? Than states or WKOs, and So I'm glad to see the Champion Clix stuff is going on, but just point is that's why it doesn't feel like super exciting to me at the moment for Notorious, because I'm already thinking like Wheels of Vengeance and Next Phase. You know, does that come out before Florida? Because I'm already got my mind on Next Phase.
Well, Wheels of Vengeance definitely will.
Yeah, because, well, we're in that awkward spot because they have essentially delayed Notorious. We should have gotten Notorious a while ago. And it was, well, I think what it originally was like August, right? And then it got delayed until September and then late September. So ideally, we would have gotten it like well in advance of Wheels. But by the time it comes out, Wheels is going to be a month or so less away. So yeah, it is kind of a back-to-back. The way I treat kind of where we're at with all of this is that this season of HeroClix is over. It culminated with Worlds, and then we rotated Modern. So we're now in a new season, and so now it's
barely
like,
started though. That's the thing.
it feels that way.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It doesn't feel that way. It did. It just barely started.
But now we're in preseason. We're in the preseason for this next Modern season to happen, leading up to Worlds next year. So it's like we have some little tournaments, which would be great to have bigger ones, but it's like Champion Clix is probably going to be the first bigger tournament in January, and that's kind of like the first regular season essentially starts kicking off. Because then you'll have other tournaments in spring leading up to hopefully HeroClix for Huntington's and like PJ's event or stuff like that. Like, you'll have bigger events leading up into
right.
So
the problem is that the problem is like the Notorious release now, and like maybe if there was something happening in October, November, and it's the awkward time, but that's the problem with inconsistent events and no WKO level organized play in the fall. Is now
and the Rock doesn't do Modern Age anymore.
Yeah, and the Rock, it's going to be Silver Age for them if they do any qualifiers for Rock Cup, the HeroClix for Huntington's event. They're going to be Silver Age, so it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. And I know Aaron's working on it, and so there may not be as much detrimental crud in Silver that just went to Silver. But yeah, the problem is that like Notorious doesn't feel special to me at the moment, because there's nothing special to play it yet.
It won't get his time to shine.
Brad is not doing online anymore.
I'm sad about that too. That's kind of an error.
It is, and so it's just nowhere for it to shine, right? Like, even if these Champion Clix, qualifiers, they have to happen before Wheels of Vengeance come out, because we've already seen things in Wheels that are awesome, that definitely change the meta. So, like,
it might be okay. It might be good that Black Lanterns don't get their moment to shine.
Every
set should get its moment.
That
hasn't happened every time. Like,
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for every set, and but then again, in the past, we would have like events coming up, right? There would be events.
Winter WKO.
There would be There would be the fall and winter WKOs. So maybe like that timing with Wheels, doesn't look too great if there was a normal November WKOs, depending on Wheels release. But there could have been like, well, there's 1 week of WKOs where Wheels isn't legal. And then, so it's only Notorious. And then you could try to get your stuff, or you try to go acquire Wheels, for the second and third week of WKOs. And like, that excitement is not there. So that's probably why Notorious doesn't feel super special to me at the moment. But I am excited to review the set. There's a lot of stuff. I did think about this. I want y'all listeners to comment on this. We are thinking about adding a pulp component to the CUR of the set reviews. Now, that might mean that the set review ends up being even longer, because we do want to talk about those figures and their impact to the pulp meta. Typically we only do them as 300 modern. So a lot of times we're like, yep, and we get through like 10 figures. So do y'all want to hear a longer set review for that? So to include pulp. Anything else on Thursday that y'all want to talk about?
Oh yeah, we're talking about Worlds.
We are, and we're just talking about a lot of stuff, right? I mean, as we normally do, as we do.
No, I don't think so.
All right, so Friday, well, the three of us teamed up together for Team Worlds. We can talk about what figures we played. Just maybe skip to the end just for a second. I think we pulled a mediocre brick, and then we built. When we built, we made a couple of mistakes in our team building, and that cost us the ability to make top cut in teams.
We had the chance to make top cut.
We were right there, but we just didn't make it happen.
I don't know if I would go so far to say our brick was mediocre. I do agree we should have done a better job with Jason's team.
And my dice were just total crap, other than one game.
But you didn't have a great team to begin with.
I didn't have a great team, no.
You sounded so dejected when you had to, okay, I guess I'll play this team. That's
because all I had left was scraps.
I know, we should have built it a little bit better. Though, to be honest, I don't know what I would have taken from my team to give to you to play, because almost everyone on that team was pretty clutch in the wins that I had. I'd have to go back and look at what all we pulled.
It would have been nice if we had a Necron to go with Martian Manhunter, which we didn't.
Yeah, the lack of a Necron hurt my team a lot, and because I needed like a little bit better prob than the Saturn woman, and Necron would have been that. So let's talk about what we did play. I played Full Point Martian Manhunter, Common Lex, Black Hand, and the aforementioned Saturn Girl.
Yep.
And I went 2-2. We played 4 rounds.
Yeah, we played 4 rounds.
Yeah, I went 2 and 2.
We did play 4 rounds.
Yeah, I went 2 and 2. So, not my best sealed performance, but when Martian Manhunter does not roll his shape change, he goes down like a ton of bricks. Quite literally. And that's what happened. There's a ton of penetrating damage in the set, and it completely came to bear on my team, and I went 2 and 2.
Yeah, I ended up going 3 and 1, but should have been 4 and 0. What did you play? What did you play, and how did you do? I played Gotham City Underworld. It was by far the best team, because it was with Poison Ivy, Super Rare Harley, Little Harley, like common or uncommon. I forget which one she is.
Uncommon.
Yeah. And then like a Riddler, Goon, and there was 5 figures. Was that 5? Yes, Poison Ivy. And a Catwoman. And I mean, it went well. I mean, I went 3 and 1. Should have been 4 and 0. If I had one more second to say like Poison, then I would have been good. But I just didn't. So I lost that. That was the last round, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, the team played incredibly well. Catwoman's okay. Like she doesn't do a ton for 90 points. I guess she needs 9 hits or 9 poisons to take her out. But
yeah, I think the problem was, Alex, is like you needed the common Lex on your team.
in lieu of what?
I don't know,
Catwoman?
because Catwoman with the cats and the bushes, because that gives you a shit ton of outwits.
Oh, I suppose. Like, I could see that. A lot of what I faced couldn't be outwitted. There's a lot of times outwit didn't really ultimately help me. Because I think she goes to outwit at some point. Like, click 2 or 3, Catwoman gets outwit. The team worked great. If I had thought about Super Rare Harley more, I probably would have left the Goon off and just stayed at 4 the entire time. Because having less people was better. Because it made my plants do more damage. So I probably should have done that instead of trying to play all of those characters that I did. But it's okay. I enjoyed the team. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. Jason, what did you do and how did it play?
Well, let's see. I went 1 and 3. I had Black Manta at 90 points, a Black Manta Goon at 15. I had a Bizarro at 60, Golden Glider at 60, and a Manhunter on that team. I think, was that it? Oh, and I had Polka Dot Man because I had a TK.
You had Polka Dot Man. Unfortunately, you had Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, I had Polka Dot Man. But I needed a TK, and that's what we had. So, yeah. I mean, there's a couple cool figures in there. Like Golden Glider does some cool stuff, but when she goes out to attack a group of people, and then you get probed into a mist, and and then she gets destroyed. And my dice were pretty crap for the most part, other than one game. I missed a lot of attack I needed to make. I had chances to win stuff if I could have just hit the attacks, but I didn't. I didn't have any prob. I didn't have any perplex. I had a bunch of outwit, which was great, but you can't hit. So
yeah,
very true.
I know. Yeah. So,
but I will say to our credit, because we went in with a different game plan this go around. I think our game plan worked great. Like, I think going in with how we wanted to do things was something we hadn't done before. So I think it worked better than we probably would have anticipated. At least I would have. Because we were a pretty well-oiled machine. Because we did a lot of research the night before. And this was... Scott Crampton mentioned this on the Critical Clicks podcast about kind of ahead of time figuring out what figures you feel are good, bad, kind of mentally like categorize everything and say, okay, this is good, this is bad. And so we were able to identify, okay, these are bad pieces well in advance. And that helped a lot, I think, because we pulled some of those and it felt like, oh, we were going to fall into a trap of choosing them. And because we had done that research, we didn't. We were able to kind of avoid some of those pieces that were just really, really bad. It also gave a second light to the chases, because the chases, you think, oh, the chases are must plays, and sometimes they are, but some of the chases just really aren't that good, especially in the format. So they weren't good as trying to build around them solely. Like, oh, we got this Wonder Woman, deceased Wonder Woman. Well, she's all right. Like, she's not bad, but you don't really necessarily need to build a team around her.
Yeah.
But
all right. So yeah. The brick, I just don't think our brick was going to be worthy enough to carry us the rest of the way, unfortunately. All right, so we didn't do very well in Team Sealed, but the team that we put Zach with got second place.
Yeah. And TJ and Az made what, top 8?
Yep.
Again?
The defending champs made top 8, which is a big deal. And so that was good all around. Congratulations to McConnell, Antonio, and Garrett for winning.
Yeah.
With 2 of those guys, it being their first Worlds ever.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. So that night we went to Marlowe's. It was great, as expected. And we then convinced Jason to play singles throughout the weekend. So there was 155 players in singles. Alex, you did not play in singles. You played in Onslaught after teams, and you did Onslaught stuff on Saturday. So Jason, tell us what you played on singles and what were your games like, and how'd you end up doing?
Well, not so great. I played the Legacy APOC and the 4 Grand Prize APOCs and the Genesis. Because I figured I'd play a bunch of Spider-Mans, and I didn't wind up playing any Spider-Mans. So we had I sat down the first round, and then they repaired us. And then I got to play Daniel the first round.
Yeah.
That picture Dan posted was hilarious. the picture, like your face, like Dan's doing his normal smile, like
I'm trying to make a face, like just because it'd be funny, but yeah, I wasn't happy about it at all because that's like the thing I don't want to play, Scar the Witch. I don't want to play that. Like that's like one of my 2 worst matchups. And it went pretty much as I expected it to. I mean, I tried to take out his support pieces, and I couldn't hit anything because I just couldn't roll dice that weekend, pretty much. And he, does his Scarlet Witch thing and then kills my stuff because they don't have powers.
Right.
So I lost.
Yeah.
And then I got to go play an awesome guy named Matt who listened to the show. And we had a fun game. He had a Jubilee team, which I managed to beat. And then I got to play Zach, who had all the Scarabs. Another team then he won map roll, and we went to Morlock Tunnels, and I cannot do anything because he barriers in. I go across the map. He pings me across the board with the time platform. It's not a game. They're not playing a game. He's just doing his Scarab thing, and I can't do it, and I'm just there. So I lost. Yeah. And then I went to go play BRs.
Yeah. So it was some rather impossible odds for a lot of the things. So there was, and I work in engineering. For those, I think I say that quite a bit. But I have 2 things that I've done. Is I've showed everybody my trophy that I made for the Pulp World Championship, which is a trash can. Check that out in the Clixed Off Facebook group. And then the other thing that I've talked to him about is how impossible some of the odds were for my pairings and my situation that ended up with me being 3-2 in the Modern Swiss. So round 1, I was paired against Emily. They repaired us all, and I got to play Jason. And, my team did what it was supposed to do. I played Scarlet Witch with a Darkhold, Saki with the Cloak, the MOE chases starting out with Inquisitor, Mephisto, and Casey Green Lantern with his green ring and such. Jason moved up. I went out there and I crept up myself and, ruined his APOC and charged flurried it to death. And And then slowly did that to all of the other chases until they were all gone. The grand prize. I shouldn't say chases. They're grand prize figures. So wasn't too much else to do there. So then round 2, overall there would have been about 73 winners, 72 to 73 winners, plus all the folks that had their buys. And at the end of the day, out of 35 300-point wipes, I ended up playing Az. And then Az was playing a similar team to Jason's, but instead of APOC, he was playing Big Carnage and Venom Wolverine with the Necro. Yeah, Venom Wolverine. Yeah, instead of Legacy APOC, he was playing Venom Wolverine with the Necro Sword and a Big Carnage. And, well, unfortunately, about the same dang thing happened. Went in there, did the thing with the thing, and Az was not able to prevail in that situation. So ended up with 2-0 with almost max points, and went to play Patrick Frazier, who ended up winning the event. Congratulations to Patrick Frazier. So I had a good game plan. He was playing his Prime Spider-Man team. So I went up ruined after we kind of crept up a little bit because we went to a big map. Please, WizKids, get rid of the big maps. Just please. Just ban the remaining few big maps, please. So we went up to, we were on Krakoa, and so I ruined his team, KO'd his Carnage Silver Surfer. I knew that Spider-Man was coming, but he was going to have to attack Scarlet Witch in a rune, and he missed his first attack, needing an 8. Probbed it with his Mephisto, and rolled 5/5 to generate knockback. I probbed it with my Saki, and he rolled 5/5 again. There were only 3 rolls I was worried about. That was 4/4, 5/5, and 6/6. And he knocked back my Scarlet Witch to KO her. Went downhill from there because I couldn't do anything about the stupid Prime Spider-Man with a Necro Sword. Because you don't get your rollouts. Then I went to play.
Says the guy who takes away all the powers.
Yeah, it says the man plays Scarlet Witch.
I did not have fun playing Scarlet Witch.
We're just saying what everyone was saying.
I played it because I fucking had to. It was the thing I had the most practice with.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have played Prime Spidey.
I could have, and I probably maybe should have. No, what I actually should have played was Thanos, but nobody wants to hear me say that again, so I'm not going to. Yeah, it's whatever. And so, then I went to go on to play Paris Gordon, who ended up making top 8. I just did not, to be honest, I did not have a great matchup versus his team. He had more offense than my team could defend against. And then in round 5, I needed to win with max points to even have a chance. And I got to play against Matthew. Let me see which Matthew it was. Matthew Hinton, and I did quite a bit against his team, by putting it in a rune, so he didn't have leadership, so he was trying to figure out how to work around all of that, and, I ended up winning that game, but on very low points. So, wasn't a great day of clicks for me, but ended up with a winning record and was about 47th, I think. So,
one thing we didn't mention that we probably should, they used a new system.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
An amazing new system.
Yeah,
I think it worked well.
Yeah, so Norm put together a new website for pairings, which worked really, 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 really well. And, he's been looking for some feedback on it and, looking to make some improvements. So you basically scanned a QR code, it took you to a web page, and you got to see matchups and pairings. And in HeroClix players and collectors, there's a post up by Norm looking for feedback on the website. So be sure to check that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it worked well, but I think what it really needs is, one, the ability to join into different groups for no reason whatsoever. And then the system also needs to be able to award us badges for no reason.
Oh, you're talking about it needs to be just like the win?
And there should also be a ranking system on there that just gives you points arbitrarily. But you can still say you're the number one Clix player based off of those points for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, so be sure to check out Norm's post for improvements on the website, because he plans on doing a lot more of it. And he said that he threw together the day before the show. So Norm's a whiz when it comes to that stuff. So let's give Norm some good feedback there. So Sunday, we didn't do much, but congratulations to our teammates TJ Wheeler for making top 32, Az for making top 32, and Zach for making top 16. So congratulations to all of our Clixed Off teammates for doing so well.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
And thanks to Alex for updating our soundboard.
I had to throw at least one of these in here, so
Yeah, I get it. I love it. I'm all down. I love that you have done this. So that was pretty much how our weekend went, guys. Not our greatest performance, but a lot of fun. And I think that's the whole thing. Is like I'm ready. I'm motivated. I'm ready to go play again, and I just can't. There's just no events to go play in.
But it feels almost like they talk about it with Gen Con all the time, right? Like the con blues or whatever. Because it's like you snap back from reality and you're like, man, I wish I could just go back to Gen Con. It's like we have the same effect from Worlds, essentially. It's like we play such high level, our minds are going, it's a great time, and we come back to the World and we're like, oh, man. Because nothing's going to meet that level of Worlds until Gen Con or Worlds or whatever again.
Yeah.
Some things might come close. Like Champion Clix last year did a pretty decent job. It came close. HeroClix for Huntington, same thing. But it's like nothing really just gets it as well as Worlds does, at least now.
I just want to play. That's all. I just want to play.
Sure.
So let's go ahead and answer some questions. Anything else y'all want to add specific to any of the days of the weekend?
We got to go to the steakhouse Sunday on the way home. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. So Jason, Zach, and I were in this truck, and we stopped at the Grecian Steakhouse in Dyersburg, Tennessee. And it
amazing
was,
buffet.
It was, oh my gosh, phenomenal. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the catfish was so good.
It's if you get a chance, you got to go there.
I know. We're going to convince people to go to Dyersburg, Tennessee.
It's that damn good.
It's in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee, basically. There's no interstates that come even close to it, really. I don't know. Maybe some of our Missouri guys we'll make the venture over there.
I had a good time on Saturday and Sunday. I played a lot of Onslaught. There was an okay amount of people there. Here on Saturday, our Dice Masters tournament that Rob and Jocelyn from Dice Masters pulled off went really well as well. I think they got 10 people to sit down and play some Dice Masters in the cafeteria. There's some great shots that I was able to take of it. So thanks to all of those. If you're listening, I know Jocelyn and Rob listen. So once again, thanks for running that tournament. I think it went great. Just be able to have some Dice Masters there at Worlds was pretty fantastic. And Onslaught went, I think, really well as well. You wouldn't have thought about it by who was there, but there were some key WizKids people there that were doing Onslaught. Like Nicholas Yu is one of the lead designers. He's on the front of the box of Onslaught, and he was there helping run all the events every day. Alex Davey was the main guy running the events, and he's the director of miniatures for WizKids, miniature games. So he isn't just a normal WizKids staff person, right? But you wouldn't think about it. You just think, oh, it's WizKids people. So it's cool. I mean, it was really neat to meet both of them and do interviews with them and stuff like that. Onslaught was kind of neat. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about at all? We didn't talk about the fan appreciation.
Yeah, so I do want to talk about a little bit of that here soon. Just not at the moment. So, because it's a lot about upcoming stuff too. So,
sure. I mean, we could. So, what I would like to say about it, not figure specific. We didn't really learn anything new that we didn't already know, at least for future's sake. We saw figures that we didn't see before. There was a couple of that. I felt like it was a pretty underwhelming fan appreciation. Even from the HeroClix standpoint, it was first off, it was only HeroClix. It was a HeroClix fan appreciation. There was nothing else. No Onslaught, no board games, no Dice Masters. It was only HeroClix, which felt odd because they just went to Alliance Open House and did a big slideshow. So it just felt weird that they couldn't just copy some slides. But we did not learn any. Did we learn anything new? No. Right?
No, nothing specific.
Nothing specific.
No.
Which is okay because they did give us a lot of info at Gen Con, so they told us, there's a DC set coming in spring or whatever. They let us know all of that stuff, but it kind of made fan appreciation feel a little underwhelming for me.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same stuff, but I mean, we got the new figures that we got to see were really cool.
Yeah, that King Kong sculpt is awesome.
Yeah, King Kong looks really good. The new sculpts and wheels, the new orange bases are looking great. Khonshu from Next Phase, we get Possessors again. Oh my gosh, cannot wait.
Wait, hold on. Let me. You guys keep talking. There's something I'm curious about. I'm gonna go back and look at the slides real quick. So
okay,
hold on.
Go ahead.
They need to improve the audio for the fan appreciation.
Yeah,
you just cannot hear them across that place
right
very well. If you're not right up to where they're standing at, I couldn't hear them in the back.
Right. Jeff Dumas did ask, is playing your teammates early on affect your mindset for the rest of the event? Well, it did for Jason, because he had to play two of us. And
it was just like the two worst matchups I could possibly have. And I mean, what are the odds of playing the both of them in 155 people?
Yeah.
I didn't get to play a game against Zach. Really, I just moved around on the map while he did his stuff.
Right.
So, why did they not mention Beetlejuice?
They'd already mentioned it.
No, they said it in Alliance Open House, which we saw from a picture that Jay posted.
Yeah.
No one else, they didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't mention it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
It's a huge question of why, there's still that kind of disconnect of like, why does Alliance Open House, like, why do stores like get special privy information than the people who are buying it? Like, there shouldn't be the point of, oh, well, we can only tell the stores. Like, why? Because I would say probably 90% of the time, the stores probably don't tell their customers because they probably don't know enough to be like, oh, that's cool. The ones who do are usually HeroClix players.
Right.
So, like, thinking back on, like, oh, the whole Beetlejuice thing, seeing that from a slide from Alliance Open House, that was big. That's like, oh, that is awesome. And then they didn't say anything about it. It's just, like, puzzle. It feels like, to be honest, they put the fan appreciation together, like, the night before. And they're like, oh, we've got a couple dials. Let's throw it in there. Give me the slides from Gen Con. That's all we need. And they just kind of put it together quickly.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that they still do it, and they had a lot of exciting things to share as far as the dials and stuff. But yeah, seemingly forgot Beetlejuice, and that's okay. I was just going through the slides real quick. I mean, the biggest thing is like what we need details on. Look at slide number 2: more casual organized play, and then more competitive organized play. We need that announcement. More competitive organized play. What does that mean? When does that occur? So
yeah, I feel like they put that on every appreciation or slide or something. They're like, yeah, there's more of that.
Yeah, they said that last year at Gen Con, and it has not come to fruition yet. So
maybe they
see something real on it for once.
Maybe they mean they want us to have more competitive organized play.
Right.
Not that they're doing it. That they're like, hey, there's gonna be more of it because you guys want it. Not that we're doing it. But
yeah, so we did get they went over the Iconics releases. The Doomsday and Superman cards look really awesome. The Hall of
box set looks really cool.
Yeah, the Hall of Armor is going to be super playable. You'll be able to pet Kong because he's flocked. I'm just going quickly here. So the cards for Sherlock Holmes look really, really cool.
I will say this for our listeners. At this point, from what we've seen, you need to probably just make sure you have Iconics on order with your local.
Yeah.
It's just getting to the point where they're popular. So it's difficult to buy them in the WizKids store. It's difficult to, and the problem is we're buying something that we don't know if it's any good. It might look good. It might look great. Like the Hall of Armor, fortunately, like I think you could still pre-order that. It went up on WizKids. I don't know if it's sold out, but I'm pretty sure you could still get it through your local. But we saw the one figure and we're like, oh, okay, shifting focus, stuff like that. This is going to be good. But it's like some of this other stuff, it's like you got to get in advance because I didn't get Nightfall, and
I ordered that at our local, and I still didn't get it.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest, I don't have any Iconics yet, but it seems like they're getting better and better. The Sherlock Holmes one looks cool, so. Considering we're getting one now, it seems every single month. I think I honestly think that's their plan going forward. A new Iconics every month. So if you think of that from what we used to get, yes, do it. We're getting a ton of HeroClix. Like outside of just the sets, we're getting, and they're also still doing the monthly OP that we don't ever really talk about much because it feels like it's at the most random times.
Yeah, but
like we get the Wakanda one, I think, like next month.
Yeah. So then we get to look at some sculpts from Next Phase, and we got the dial for Khonshu, which is super exciting. Deadpool Weapon X will come about with dice in the boosters, and then. We get a little baby shark fella. Sharks are seemingly always... That's Jeff, isn't it?
That is Jeff, the Babyland shark.
Oh, got it. Yeah, that's the guy that you can play anywhere and can move to any location. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I play him. Yeah, that he's good friends with Professor X.
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking about the think about the dice and the boosters?
I mean, is it going to be specific to some kind of power they have? Like, are they going to come with the figure they go with? Like,
I mean, I don't hate the concept. Who doesn't like more dice? It's just
Right.
seems odd. Like, out of all the things to add to boosters, just seems odd.
So, yeah, I agree. So let's answer some questions and wrap this up today. Peter Marshfield's question, and the page just reloaded on me. Let me just go
Nice.
ahead. Yeah, the page just completely reloaded, like the thing. So let me try this again. Boop 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 boop.
I do like that they said wacky in their explanation of Deadpool Weapon X. Wacky, never before seen effects.
Yeah. All right. So Peter Marshfield, with rotation having come, what figures are you excited to put on the table that you haven't because of what the meta looked like? Any of them with rollouts?
I'm gonna tell you, boss.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, boss. When you start building with what's in modern, you're gonna be a little disappointed on how empty it feels right now.
You think?
Yeah,
I don't feel disappointed at all.
I am, just because I'm looking at like, oh, let me look at all the figure. Like, I'm not disappointed on the fact of what rotated, but we are on the other side of one of the biggest rotations ever, right? So we are in the world of, this is probably one of the smallest moderns we've had in a while.
I can tell you what, I am very excited right now at the moment. It makes me just even all the more sad because I would love to play in this current set of modern.
The current 6-set meta.
Yeah, there's
only six sets.
There's a lot
currently
of
legal.
I'm really excited about Miss Marvel. That's what I'm excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great stuff in those 6 sets, and
Mm-hmm.
very much looking forward. Very much wish I could play in a bigger event with those sets because there's some very great pieces that could take a moment to shine.
And the Scott Porter figures, like, they're out here now.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason. We know the Scott Porter figures are like, they're gonna have all 2 years to shine. They've got plenty of time to shine.
I know, but there's like so many things you could do. Like,
I know, we want to play them. We're ready to play them now, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get back to having a 1-year-long 300 modern tournament circuit. I guess we never will again. Instead of a 2-month window to play all this shit. Like, yeah, I long for the old days when we could go to a tournament every friggin' month, pretty much, and play modern.
Yep, you got it.
So,
all right.
I will say for my real answer, I think Venom got a symbiote, so I think would be fun to try to play.
Okay. Of the Con LEs, which one are you most excited to play with?
All right, take this one away, Jason.
Captain America, and I guess Scott Porter. Scott Porter can have the Con LE, I guess he doesn't, but it's not Captain America on Pegasus. Let's go. It looks so good, too.
I am looking forward to playing Space Ghost.
You guys took the easy answers, I guess.
There's about the only one.
I mean, Venom got a symbiote, I guess I could default to, because that is a Con LE, but... I mean,
maybe I could say Rainbow Superman if I fucking ever saw one.
We just didn't get I don't feel like there was a ton of Con LEs anyway, so we talked about this months ago.
And the Wonder Woman set, I think there's cool stuff in that too.
Yeah.
So his last part of his question is, final question, which piece of the following categories are you glad to have out of Modern? So let's just say, what are you glad that's retired?
Isn't that Scarab? Scarlet Witch, Necro Sword. Isn't that pretty much it?
Got tired.
Yeah.
Tired of that guy just running across the field and eating things.
Yeah, which he did a lot of.
But
so
happy Venom Magneto's gone.
Oh, come on.
Come
Venom Magneto was
on.
our friend.
Venom Magneto was
friend.
fine. He was a perfectly fine piece. He encouraged engagement.
He did.
Right. So, we can't play copyrighted music on the podcast. So I will like to just say one thing, and this is I promise to y'all this will be the last time I bring him up, unless they unban him in silver. My man.
Faust.
Huh?
I said Faust.
Oh my gosh, not Faust.
Yeah, screw that guy too. I'm glad he's gone too.
I think you all
know.
know.
That one. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I think you all know who I'm about to say is I'm sad that it's gone. And this is to be the last time I bring him up, unless they unban him in silver. I had to pour one out for my boy Thanos. And so in regards to the music, I would like to give y'all a rendition of the 2003 song made popular on Speed TV's show Pink. It is called Walk Away by the Nadas. Walk away from me, my love. You could be here with me somehow. You could be here with me right now. Walk away from me, my love. And that, do not critique my singing. That is meant to be the most farcical, oddest thing you've ever heard on a podcast.
I think that was one of the greatest segments on this show ever.
So,
just saying.
My boy T Daddy, I don't think made a table at all in the 155 players at Worlds, as far as I know. If you did play Thanos at Worlds, I would love to see what you actually played him with. But my big purple friend, it was a good time to play you. Forever rest in the retirement you earned. So, next question. We answered Lamar's question. Alec, we're going to talk about Notorious a lot. There's a lot of cool stuff going into there. Justin, we kind of mentioned this already. If you don't play Scott Porter's, are you even playing Clix?
Probably not.
Probably not. So Brad asked a question. Will you guys help support and play his last online tournament? Isn't his last online tournament pre-rotation?
Mm-hmm. I think he says that in his...
Yeah.
It's pre-rotation?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, I'm Brad,
sorry, but no thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, Brad. I'm probably not going to play in a pre-rotation tournament. I mean, if we can help out,
I am going to miss his tournaments, though.
I am. And if Brad, if there's some way that we can help support the tournament and support IPF without actually trudging through pre-rotation, post up how folks can help support the cause without actually having to play the Clix. Jimmy Williams, I'll say this: we have a lot of content to create, and it's just we're going to just try to do it as much as possible for y'all. He wants to know the Pulp Tier Maker episode. What one? Okay, so what game mode was the most fun to play, and which one at Worlds should you play as a beginner? Team Worlds. If it's your first time at Worlds and you want to play in any of the World Championships, play in Team Worlds with two of your buddies.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a different level play. Like, because last year I played with random people, I think. I forgot who I played with.
You played with two of our teammates.
Who did I play with?
You played with Zach and Jason Allen.
No, did I?
Yeah.
No, I did so poorly. I've blocked it out of my memory. Yeah, it's just a bad time last year.
Yeah. But yeah, if it's your first time going, try to play in Team Worlds. So is it Harrison's question? Harrison, I want to say that we need to cover some of your stuff in the Notorious episode, and we are going to break down more of the Scott Porter stuff when we talk with Pat this weekend. And then what pulp figures do you think maybe have potential in Modern proper after seeing them in Pulp Worlds? What do you think, Alex?
I mean, that's hard to say because I feel like a majority of the pulp figures are rotating. So, like Falcon is rotating already, or have rotated.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, like pulp, I think is just radically changed now. Like you still have Blue Marvel and Falcon, but it's like there's a lot of other pieces now.
Yeah,
Blue Marvel, Falcon, and Deathstroke could all possibly show up.
Yep.
But that's
in Modern.
Yeah. I mean, Falcon already shows up in Modern.
Yeah, and so does Deathstroke, too. He showed up in Modern, so...
He gets a lot of assassin help, though.
Yeah.
If you want to go with assassins, there's some cool stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Anthony asked us a bunch of questions. Sorry, that was Kari's question. Brad, we answered your question at the start of the show about the Scott and Adam situation. So the PB&J bar was replaced with the PB&J grab and go station. I think it was the same thing that we had last year.
They just planned a lot better. I think I heard someone say that they knew that we were there effectively. Because I remember coming by like 10 o'clock. It starts at 9 something. Like coming by like 10 something, they still had extras.
Yeah.
Like they had a lot. They made a ton because they knew we were all going to be there and eating a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing Clix players can do is eat.
That chocolate milk. Ooh.
Yeah. The chocolate milk recipe, y'all, we asked the sweet old lady there that threatened to stab us. She was really a sweet old lady. She was just kidding about the stabbing part.
Yeah, super nice.
She's one of those feisty old ladies.
Feisty old ladies, yeah. So the chocolate milk recipe is whole milk, sweet cream, half and half, and Hershey syrup.
No.
Oh, it's heavy cream.
Heavy cream.
Man, no.
Sorry, sweet cream, whole milk. What?
No, go ahead.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, didn't she make you sign an NDA?
Oh, no, she told us. So, Anthony, we did respond to the All Swiss No Cut. We should have just started earlier on Thursday. And what strategy did you use for Team Worlds to choose which player was A, B, and C? We did something. We did use a strategy.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, technically we did. To roll dice.
Roll. Yeah, we rolled.
We just all three.
That's some strategy.
We all three rolled. We all three rolled off, and high, medium, low was A, B, and C because we were like, we should be scientific about this, and I'm like, no, we've been scientific about it before. Just roll off. What was everybody's favorite format? I mean, I enjoyed Modern, I always do, even though I didn't do so well. What was y'all's favorite format of the weekend?
Battle Royals.
Yep. Alex?
Team Worlds, I think, was probably really fun, despite like our pools and whatnot. It was just fun, like getting there, like planning ahead, sitting down, like the mad rush of like me and Jason talking things out and Dan just pulling out all the figures. Giving us pep talks. You got this, guys. You got it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, so yeah. My thing was this year. Jason and Alex did, like a mini tier maker in the hotel room. I said, guys, I just got second place in the world at Pulp, and I was like, you know what? This has done really good for me. Y'all just point me in the direction I need to go, and I will cannon this shit. You know, the Winter Soldier has to go into hibernation. So, like, I went to sleep, and those guys finished up their tier maker and Alex's notebook. And I was like, look, you guys help work on building the teams. I will work on getting all the cards and figures out. And we divided and conquered. And I think we were really prepared. I think we just need a little bit more tweaking and prep on that format for the next time.
Yeah, I hope WizKids plans this in advance again. I think every Worlds needs to just have a pre-release type vibe to it.
Yeah.
And hey, who would have thought they have the capabilities of doing that? So
right.
They can easily say, hey, we're always going to have a set release in September, and we're just going to always plan on having that set happen around Worlds, so that way Team Worlds is always going to be big because it's a brand new set. And so you have to do your research ahead of time. And I think that added to the draw, and I hope it's something that they just plan ahead and just say that's what we're going to do going forward.
All right. Well, thanks, Ben, for that question. Giordano, we're gonna talk some team builds with Pegasus Cap. Like, this goes back to Jimmy's question. Like, we are currently an hour and 45 minutes into this episode, and we could definitely talk about things for like another 3 hours worth of stuff. Pegasus Cap builds coming, talking with Pat coming, Notorious Mega Set review coming. Be sure to let us know if you want us to do pulp review of the CUR while we go through it. So
interviews coming up.
Yeah. The Sudden Death crew, they're going to work to get together the second place winners from all of second place folks from all of the events, which apparently means I get to be on Sudden Death. So we'll see how that goes. So we've got I think I've got like 12 hours worth of content to create for you guys. We're guys and gals out there, we're super excited and ready to go and play that. Or not play that. We're ready to play, but I'm super ready to create and talk with y'all guys and gals about the HeroClix. So,
Dan, have you considered the thought that maybe they were setting you up to have to wrestle Mr. Chomps' son because you're going to be the guest on Sudden Death?
That's totally fine.
Are you prepared? Have you looked into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Like, are you?
Yeah. So it's called pocket. It's called pocket sand.
I mean, I think he would be prepared for that.
I don't think you can prepare for the pocket sand, Alex.
I mean, is he an alligator or a crocodile?
Well, his name is Gator Tot. So
okay, then
his actual name is Gator Tot.
All right, so you've got a chance then. Because crocodiles, I think, are the drier ones, right? So, like, pocket sand, they'd be like, whatever. Like, okay, bro.
Right. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out if they actually get me on the show. So they have to.
Oh.
No, if they once they get it set up, I will be on. But if it's
you gotta talk to my agent first. I don't know if I will agree.
Yeah. Oddly enough, my agent is my wife, who's also the host of Sudden Death now. So, all right. Final thoughts, Jason.
Worlds was super fun. Thanks for everybody that said hi or said they appreciated the show or got to play a game against in a VR or whatever. It was great. And hope to do it all again next year.
Yep. Alex.
My final thoughts?
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's it. That was all my final
thoughts.
All right.
Yeah, my final thoughts is, man, I want y'all to know out there that we really appreciate all of y'all that listen to the show. Everybody that came up, just like Jason said, just like I said earlier in the show, thank y'all so much for everything. Super positive experiences coming out of Worlds. Super positive experience looking forward to the future. And man, with just a little bit of minor tweaking to the competitive scene, aka getting those events rolling again, we would be recovered from the COVID era of Clix, and really hoping that happens. Thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Later.
See you.